Right. What I'm trying to say is, okay, let's assume this is the initial IS. This is our LM. Okay. So we'll have this as our initial equilibrium interest rate, and then the equilibrium income. Now, there is an increase in government spending. Okay, an increase in government spending is supposed to cause a rightward shift in the IS curve. Okay, so this was supposed to be the new equilibrium interest rate, but there was also an increase in money supply, which means that the LM curve is supposed to what, shift downwards. Okay. Now, what I'm trying to say is, whenever there's an increase in government spending, we are supposed to get an increase in interest rates. Okay. And holding the government spending constant, if you change money supply, if you increase money supply, we are supposed to see a reduction in interest rate. So one is causing an increase, one is causing what? A decrease. So, but for Y, increase in J, increase in M causes an increase in Y. So that one, we are certain of what is going to happen to Y. But for the effect on interest rates, it is ambiguous because the increase in government spending is causing an increase in the interest rate, and the increase in the money supply is causing a decrease in the interest rate. So whether interest rates will go up or interest rates will go fall would depend on the magnitude of these two. Okay, it will depend on the magnitude of these two. If the that of the government spending is more than that of the M, then we will see an increase in the interest rate, or otherwise. Okay, so what I was trying to say is, we don't normally you need to get the values before you come and draw the diagram. So at least the mass will tell you the direction of change in the interest rate. So just assuming that you do it and then there's an increase in the interest rate, then you make sure that the new IS and then the LM curves that you draw should ensure that the new equilibrium will cause an increase in the interest rate. So whether it is going to cause an increase in interest rate depends on how you draw your curves. So just assuming that this one will get an increase in interest rate, you draw your LM curve in a way that this is going to be the new equilibrium point, and this is causing an increase in R. Okay, this is causing an increase in R. But if there was a reduction in R, then draw your LM curve in a way that the new equilibrium will ensure what? A decrease in R. Are you understanding me?
Yeah.
Okay. So as someone is asking, it's possible that there will be no change in interest rate at all. Okay, it's possible that if the two magnitudes are the same, then there will be no change in interest rate. But for income, we'll see an increase in income because both the increase in G and M will cause an increase in Y. Okay, so please, the diagram that you draw must match with the values that you had. It shouldn't be difficult at all. Just check it. If you have an increase in interest rate, you make sure that the change in the shift in the LM will be smaller than that of the shift in the IS. You automatically get an increase in interest rate. Okay. So please, you take note of that. Definitely, if they bring those changes in GNM, you'll be asked to draw this. So let's take note and then know how to draw these ones too. All right. I hope we understand. Okay. Let's go through one of the labor market computations. I got a file. I think one of your TA solved a lot of the questions in the past school. I think he's done extremely well. So later on, you can go through those ones too Then let's use one of what is solved. The questions are not here. So if you have the past question with you, I think it's 2017, 20, 2018, 2017, 2018. Right. So we were given the production function. This is the production function. You see that for the labor market, at times you'll be giving your labor demand and then your labor supply. But for this question, we're not giving the labor demand. So what you have to do is you find your marginal product of labor by differentiating the production function with respect to n. Okay, so here when you differentiate your production function with respect to n, that's divide the n should give us 100 minus 2 over 4 will give us half. So 100 minus 0.5, and this is your MPN. So if you want to find your demand for labor, equate your MPN to W over P and make n the subject. If you make n the subject, that's the expression that you get there is your demand for labor. Okay, so that is what he did here. Equate 100 minus half n to W over P. Then do your cross multiplication and make n the subject. So labor demand is 200 minus 2W over P. See the negative sign, which shows the inverse relationship between the ND and the W over P. And then this was the NS, the labor supply function. Okay, it was a function of the marginal tax rate, but the tax rate was given as 0. So you have to insert your 0 here. Whatever value that they give you for the marginal tax rate, insert it here. If you put 0 here, we'll get 16 by 1. So the NS is 92, and then our 16W over P. Okay, so the first question was to find your real wage. So for real wage, we have equilibrium in the labor market when ND equals NS. So this is your ND, this is your NS. So you have a linear equation in terms of W over P, okay? W over P. So if you have this, you can solve this and get your W over P. W over P is 6. So real wage is given as 6. And the next question, we have to find N. Okay, so if you want to find N, you put your real wage into either ND or NS, either ND or NS. So here he put it into the ND. We are getting 188, okay, as our N. And then the next question, I hope you are with your past question. The next one is to find the real output. So that one, we take the production function, okay? Production function, this Y is your real output. So wherever you see N, you put the value of N there, okay? Wherever you see N, you put the value of N there. N is 188. So just put your N there, please. You make sure you are punching the thing well. If you are under pressure and stress, you might be doing things that you are not supposed to do. You take your time, but you don't forget you are at the accounts department. There's always a time constraint. Okay, so you try to be as fast as you can. So this is your real output, 9964. And the next one, we're supposed to find the price level. Okay, we're supposed to find the price level. That one, we use the equation of exchange. MV is equal to PY. MV is equal to PY. From the question, we're giving M as 4982. Okay, 4982. And then this is our V. Okay, we've been able to find Y as 9964. As 9964. So now we have a linear equation in terms of only P. Okay, we can find our P. We can find our P. So if PY is equal to MV, then P should be MV divided by Y. Okay, so just do your math. You're getting P to be 1.5. Okay, you're getting P to be 1.5. Then you'll be asked to find the nominal wage or the money wage. It's either nominal or money wage. Okay, so you know that your real wage is 6. Real wage is W over P. So if you're looking for W, this should be 6 times P. Now we have our P. So this should be, your nominal wage should be 6 times 1.5. And that is giving us 9. So the money wage is 9. Okay, money wage is 9. Your nominal output is just either your M times V or the PY, okay? The P times Y, price level times the real output is supposed to give you your nominal output. And that is what we have from here, okay? Just your M times V, is equal to PY. So whatever value that you get is the same as your nominal output. And that is 14946, okay? So that is how we do, we find all those variables, okay? Then the C part says that they've increased the marginal tax rate to 25%. So how would the answers in the B above change? And then does this policy have real effects? You see, from theory, we know that upon all the fiscal policies, it's only changes in the marginal tax rate that could cause real effect. So even before you start, you know that yes, it's supposed to cause real effect. Causing real effect means that there's supposed to be a change in your real wage, a change in N, a change in Y. Okay, so you bear that in mind. So what you have to do is you go back to the NS function, the labor supply function. Okay, you see, initially T was 0. So here was 1 minus 0. But now T has been given as 0.25. 0.25. So insert your 0.25 here. You get your new NS, equate it to the old ND, then solve for your new real wage. Okay, solve for your new real wage. So solving for the real wage, we are getting 7.7. Okay, we are getting 7.7. So this is the new real wage. You have to solve it for all the variables. So from the real wage, we have to find N. Okay. So this N, one mistake we can make is putting this W over P into the old NS. Please, let's check that. Okay, B. B, please, your hand is up. Yeah.
In the equation, we're given labor supply equal to 92 plus 16 to work at 1 minus T. That's where you substituted
the
tax.
marginal tax rate. Yes.
Yeah, the marginal tax.
Yes.
So what if they didn't give you the 1 minus T? It's just a straight labor supply function.
Yes.
92 plus 16.
If they do that,
multiplying.
Yes, if they do that, it means that the labor supply is independent of the marginal tax rate. It doesn't depend on the marginal tax rate. So in case they do that, you just equate it. But if your question is, just assuming they didn't do that, they didn't give you your T, but now they are saying that there's an increase in the marginal tax rate. I'm not sure they will do that. They have to bring the tax rate for us to see. But generally, we know that changes in the marginal tax rate is supposed to affect the earnings. But all the questions that I've seen, if they want to talk about the marginal tax rate, they have to bring the T. Okay, they have to bring the T. So let's not worry about that. Okay. All right. So now that we have our W over P, we can find our NS, our N. Okay, you either put it into the old ND or the new NS, and that is giving us 184.572. Please, I'm sure you can see there's a reduction in N. If you increase the marginal tax rate, it means that the after-tax wage, real wage, is going to fall. That will cause a reduction in labor supply. So the labor supply function will shift upwards, and that is supposed to cause a reduction in N. Okay, so this is our new N. If you want to find your new real output, you put this new N into the production function that we're given. If you remember, it was 100N minus 1 over 4 N squared. Okay, so you do that, do your math, and then we are getting our new Y. Okay, so yes, it's having real effects because there's a change in real weight, there's a change in N, there's a change in Y. Okay, it's been able to change all the variable, all the real variables. Okay, it's been able to change them all right. And then I think hey, what's the next question? How would your answers in part B above change if the Bank of Ghana increases the money supply? So now they've increased MS. Okay, so just go to your equation of S change. Okay, now your M has changed to this. Your V is still the same. Okay, so your nominal output will be given as the product of the M and then your V. So do that, and then you'll be able to find your nominal output. If you want to find price, know that when they change money supply, it doesn't affect the real values or the real variables. Okay, so here the Y won't change from B, or not the C. The question is referring to B, so the initial one that we found, and that one, the Y was 9964. So if you want to find your new price level, you divide the new nominal output, which is your MV, by your old real output, and that is 2.25. You see that because there's an increase in the money supply, there's an increase in price. Okay, there's an increase in price, but the real wage won't change, which means that there's supposed to be a corresponding increase in the nominal wage. So if you want to find your nominal wage, we know that the nominal wage is 6 times price. So 6 times the new 2.25, you're getting 13.5. So there is a proportionate change in the nominal wage. Okay, the percentage change in the nominal wage will be the same as that of price. That's the reason why there's no change in the real wage. And if there's no change in real wage, there will be no change in N. And if there's no change in N, there will be no change in Y. Okay, that is why it doesn't affect the real variables. Okay, so I think we're supposed to use a diagram. Okay. We know that if you use your AS and then your AD diagrams, when you increase your M, it only causes an upward shift in the aggregate demand curve. So this was the initial equilibrium with a price of 1.5, and then this is income 9964. If you increase M, it will only cause the AD curve to shift upwards. So this will cause an increase in price. Okay, and this increase in price will be met by a corresponding increase in the nominal wage. There will be no change in N, that is why there will be no change in Y. If you keep on increasing money supply, it's just price that will keep on rising. There will be no change in the output level at all. Okay, so this is what you have to do. Okay, this is what you have to do. So now, at least we've revised the ISLM computation, and then this one too. And then one thing about the ISLM, at times, after finding the equilibrium Y and R, you'll be asked to find the values of either consumption, investment, and then tax at the equilibrium point. You see that the consumption function depends on income and then tax. Okay, tax depends on income. So what you have to do is, after getting your equilibrium Y, you put it into the tax function to get the real value for tax. Okay, that will be your value of tax at the equilibrium point. Then you go to consumption. Now you have T, you have Y, you substitute them there to get your equilibrium consumption. If it's investment, you see that investment can depend on both income and then interest rate. So you just do that substitution, and then you move on. Okay, so I'm sure you have it. Okay, what a TA did. I think he solved almost all the questions there. So you can go through, and then I'm sure things will be better. Right, and then let's look at some questions on the policy effectiveness. You can be given two investment functions. Okay, yes, Esther. Hello. Okay. Now, let's look at these two investment functions. Okay, you have been given these functions, and then the question is, on which investment function will maybe fiscal policy be more effective, and then on which one will monetary policy be more effective? Okay, so even before you look at the functions that you've been given, you have to know the theory, know the intuition. We know that fiscal policy becomes more effective when investment is less sensitive to interest rate, because if investment is interest inelastic, it makes the IS curve steeper. Whatever expansionary policy that they use is because of an increase in Y. Their goal is to increase equilibrium Y. Okay, but we know that whenever you increase government spending, there's crowding out. So for fiscal policy, they try to minimize the crowding out, and the crowding out is able to be minimized when investment is not really sensitive to changes in interest rates. When you increase government spending, interest rates will go up. So definitely investment will fall. That is the crowding out. But if investment doesn't really respond to changes in interest rate, then it means that though investment will fall, it won't fall much, which will reduce the crowding out, making the fiscal policy more effective. And then when you go to monetary policy too, and then the interest elasticity of investment, if they increase the money supply, that one to their goal is to increase income. So what they do is, if you increase the money supply, interest rate will fall. So when interest rate falls, then investment can increase, thereby causing an increase in Y. So in the case where investment is very sensitive to changes in interest rates, after they increase the money supply, a small fall in the interest rate will cause a larger increase in investment, making the monetary policy more effective. Okay, more effective. So what you need to know is that when investment is more sensitive to changes in interest rates, monetary policy becomes more effective. And then when investment is interest inelastic, that's when it's less sensitive to changes in the interest rate. Fiscal policy rather becomes more effective because of the reduction in the crowding out. So now just look at these two investment functions. Which one investment is more sensitive to interest rates in which of the two equations? A, right? The first one, okay?
Yes,
because what this means is that if you increase government spending and interest rate should increase by just 1 unit, investment will fall by 50 units. But the second one, investment will fall by what? Only 20 units, which means that the crowding out will be minimized on the second one than the first one. So the fiscal policy will be more effective on the second investment function. Okay, and because investment is less sensitive to interest rate, it will make the investment function steeper, which will in turn make the IS curve steeper. Okay, which will in turn make the IS curve steeper. But if you want to talk about the effectiveness of monetary policy, if you look at these two, if you should increase your money supply and then interest rate should fall by 1 unit, the first one, investment will increase by 50 units because there's a fall in interest rate. So -1 times -50. Investment will increase by 50. If you go to the second investment function, if they increase money supply and interest rate falls by 1 unit, investment will increase by only 20, which means that the monetary policy will be more effective on the second, on the first one than the second one. Okay, so this is how you compare the policy effectiveness with regards to interest sensitivity of investment. Okay, interest sensitivity of investment. If you want to use diagrams, most of the times you have to use diagrams. What you have to do is that I'm coming. Agosia Kunadu. Yeah, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was asking that what the
Yes. I'll
according to
put
the
it there. Yes, when we are done,
thank
I'll
you.
put it there. Kwame, do you have a question?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, with the effectiveness of the monetary policy,
Okay.
could you please go over again?
Oh, all right. What I'm saying is that we increase money supply because we want interest rate to fall so that we'll have an increase in investment, which will cause an increase in income. Okay. So now the increase in income solely depends on the increase in investment. And increase in investment will depends on how sensitive investment is to interest rate. So if investment is very sensitive to interest rate, it means that after increasing the money supply, a very small decrease in the interest rate will cause a very large increase in investment, because investment really responds to changes in interest rate, thereby causing the increase in Y to be large, making the monetary policy more effective. So if you look at these two, this is minus 50, this is minus 20. If you increase your money supply, just assuming that interest rate falls by 1 unit, okay, it means that the change is minus 1. So put your minus 1 here. The investment level now is going to be 200. Then we add what? Minus 50 times minus 1 will give us what? 50. It means the investment is increasing by 50 units. If we do the same thing here, we see that investment is only increasing by 20. So if you compare these two, we see that the increase in Y here will be larger than the increase in Y from the second investment function. So the monetary policy will be more effective on the investment function, which is more responsive to changes in interest rates. Is that okay?
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right. So if you want to use the diagrams, you need to know that if the investment function is less sensitive, like the second one, it makes the IS curve steeper. Okay, so this is for the second one. Let's take this as the IS curve for the first investment function. Okay, the less sensitive the investment function, the steeper the IS curve. Now this is our initial LM curve. Good. So just assuming there is a monetary policy, there's an increase in money supply. So this is our initial Y. Okay. So if the increase money supply, the LM curve will shift downwards. So we want to know how effective this policy will be on the two curves. This is for the minus 20R, and then this is for minus 50R. So let's look at the new equilibrium points. On the minus 20R, this will be the new equilibrium point. So check the change in Y. It's just from here to here. But look at the minus 50R. This is going to be the change in Y. So you will see that the increase from the minus 50R will be higher than that of the minus 20R. So this one, the monetary policy here, is more effective than on the steeper IS. Okay, that's the reason why when the IS curve is vertical, monetary policy is not effective at all. Whether you increase or decrease money supply, there will be no change in your your income. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. If the IS curve is like this, which means that investment is totally insensitive to changes in interest rate. So this will be your IS curve. This is your LM. Okay, so we have our Y here. If you increase money supply, this is what is going to happen. There's no change in Y. If you can keep on increasing it, there will be no change in Y, because the investment doesn't respond to changes in interest rate at all. So what this means is that if you increase your money supply, interest rate will fall, but there will be no change in investment because there will be no R here. Okay, investment will be autonomous. So if you keep on increasing money supply, yes, interest rate will fall, but it cannot affect investment. And as a result, there will be no effect on Y. So there will be no change in Y at all, which will render the policy totally ineffective. Okay, so please let's check those ones too. All right, any question? Yeah.
The question you are answering, do you have the solution written down?
Come again.
Do you have the solution written down, this particular question?
Like this one?
Yeah.
No.
I wanted to know if we just have to explain or have to like indicate with diagrams, like
Yes. You have to use the diagram. You see, I do one for the effectiveness of the monetary policy. Let's
but then it wouldn't
Mhm.
it wouldn't need any mathematical intuition.
Oh no. This one there, you just use the diagram to, but you need to know that the steepness of the curve depend on the slopes, right? Okay, so
Yeah.
if investment is less sensitive, it will make the slope of the IS curve very large, and that makes it steeper. Okay, but no, you don't need to use math. We use diagram to support the intuition.
You lose it.
Okay. All right, Mawina.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Please, hello.
Yeah. Mawina, do you have a question? Kwame.
Yes, please, sir.
Yeah.
My question is, sir, please, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, please.
With regards to the investment function, I was thinking it's two in one question, as in, after solving for uh, the one that we all concluded that the monetary policy is effective on the flatter IS curve, I thought maybe we have to also do another diagram or another analysis
For the fiscal policy.
yes, please.
Yes. That's what I wanted to draw when Hackman was talking.
Also, it's two in one question, right?
Yeah. Yes. It's true.
Okay,
But this one there, I just wrote the question from my head, but I think I've seen it in the Pasco before. I was searching for it. I didn't see. That's why I combined the two. So let's look at the case for the fiscal. Now,
Okay.
for this one, we still have one steeper one, and then let's take this. But this one, because the thing is affecting the IS, at times drawing it is, you need to use your own discretion on, how you cause the changes. This is the initial change. Why? So now we want to, assuming there's an increase in government spending. Okay, there's an increase in government spending. So the IS curve is supposed to shift up, right? And this one, when you are drawing it, is your own discretion. But we know that the change in y is supposed to be greater on the steeper one. So most of the time, even the work that your TA did, he didn't combine them. Combining them is very difficult, but you are supposed to combine them so that you can really know which one is supposed to be bigger. Okay, so you for the steeper one, just assuming this is the change in y, and then for this one too, this is the change in y, and you draw it in a way. I'm sure we cannot see this one is bigger than this. Drawing this one is a bit difficult. So on the steeper one, this will be the new change in y, and then on the flatter one, this will be the new change in y. Okay, because this will be the new equilibrium point. So looking at the two, this y here, the change in y here will be larger than that of this. Is that okay? But some people choose to draw them separately, but I don't see how doing it separately will be able to compare the two. You see, if they are all on the same graph, then you know that the change in y here is bigger than the change in y there. So if the question is in two folds, then you need to draw two diagrams. One, you cause a shift in the IS, one, you cause a shift in the LM. Okay. I hope that's okay. All right. Okay. Some people were asking me on this true or false thing. So since we'll be having true or false, let's look at this one too. We have this data. Okay, we've been given the real output as 1,000. We've been given the money stock 400, and then K as 0.25. Okay, 0.25. So we have to state whether these statements are true or false. The meeting will go off soon. Let's reconnect again. Let's finish up with this thing. Now, the first one, it says that the values of aggregate price level and then the nominal income are 2.5 and 1,450 units respectively. So this one is mass. You need to solve it and see if truly the price level is 2.5 and the y is 1,450. If one is true and the other is not, the whole statement is false. Okay, so we use m is equal to kpy. M is equal to kpy. Okay, this is your m. We've been given m as 400. M has been given as 400, and then